Volunteer Forum coming to you from beautiful downtown sunny Wye River. No, I haven't gone mad, got the surfboard and gone out surfing, but I got to tell you, with a view like that, who could absolutely blame me? The Wye River Brigade here has a fantastic surrounds and outlook here, and a beautiful part of country here in Victoria. Speaking of country, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners, the lands to which we come to you tonight from, of the Eastern Maar people, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present and the elders of any other Aboriginal communities that might be watching tonight. Well, it's a fantastic forum tonight, lots of fantastic people to talk to, lots of characters and great stories here from the Wye River Brigade. And as we take a walk over to the station, as usual, we have a live audience again, including some very, very special guests. Here they all are. Give us a wave, everybody. Yeah, that's it. Woo! Now, tonight we're going to be doing some interactive play, and what we are going to do is I'm going to sit down with a very special person later on and talk about our cultural journey here in CFA. And people at home, you're going to have the opportunity to participate. That access will be through a QR code that will be shown throughout the night. So if you don't have your phone, I suggest go and find it. If you are watching tonight's forum on the phone, it might pay and you want to participate to jump on another device and to continue to watch the forum. I'm hoping that we'll get a lot of people involved, a lot of feedback. As I said, it's a very important subject, and the person we've got to speak to tonight is a very special person and very knowledgeable on all aspects of cultural reviews. So big show tonight, so let's see what's coming up. Well, what a fantastic agenda tonight. Lots of information to give to our members. And as I said, there will be some interactive stuff coming up a little bit later on, and we look forward to that. But I'm joined on the panel here tonight by some very special people and characters of the local Wye River community. I'm here with Jen. Welcome, Jen. Andrew.
Good to see you, Chief.
Good to see you again. We're going to have lots of stories from yourself and some insights. I'm looking forward to that. Chris, welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
And Roy, welcome.
Thank you.
So beautiful Wye River. As I said, I was out there looking at the beach and the surroundings. Must be a hard place to live in.
Yeah, it's tough to leave, but I guess like most volunteers, we probably all really have a strong connection to our patch, but it's a magic part, and we're lucky to share it with lots of visitors. I think I've travelled inland before, and I've really been at awe about brigades that are in landlocked areas and just what they would do in relation to escape routes and stuff. And we're very, in the context of fire, we're very fortunate that we've got a pretty easy escape route. And I guess we'll talk a bit more about that, but in the context of the Christmas Day fire's 10-year anniversary coming up, in the 24 hours of that fire, 1.5 million litres of water was dumped from the ocean onto that fire.
So let's not let all the secrets out right now.
Okay.
But I am inquiring, is there one way out? Is that your bushfire survival plan? Does it involve a surfboard or a paddleboard straight out, or no?
Well, it always pays to have your bathers on underneath your PPE.
There you go. Well, speaking of Wye River and some history, we've got Roy Moriarty here as our ex-captain. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about the history of the Wye River Fire Brigade.
Right, so the Fire Brigade was started in 1973. My father was a lieutenant in the Lawn Brigade, and they decided that Wye River was growing and probably needed its own brigade down here. So about a dozen of us got together, and it was decided that a fire brigade could be formed. And yeah, we went on and formed it late in 73, I think. We started fundraising immediately and purchased a shed before we had a block of land to put it on. We got pumps, and the CFA supplied us with knapsacks, racos and beaters.
So the easy gear then?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, no truck. Well, so then we got granted a block of land over next to the general store, and we were probably in that for nearly 10 years. But it was very hard to get out from there. You know, you've got all the traffic going into the Big Four caravan park, and so they found this block of land. It was probably early 80s that they built this first tin shed. And after that, well, by then we'd actually had a truck, and then we decided to purchase what's now kind of slip-ons, I suppose. I don't know what it was called. I think it was called a First Attack when we purchased our first Holden Rodeo. Then we decided to put another bay on the shed. So meanwhile and Ladies Auxiliary had started, and it's now just an auxiliary, not ladies, but they were just a fundraising machine. And so these next two bays that we've got on here were both thanks to the auxiliary. They also, have purchased the slip-ons, tanker 2. It was on a 3x3 grant, but or VSEP grant. And then the rear extensions on the brigade after the fire. I think we chipped in something like $250,000 to that too, but that's all raised by the ladies who did a fantastic job.
What a fantastic history. But they tell me there's a special little award that takes place, the Roy Award. I'm almost too scared to ask. What's that all about?
Well, the Roy Awards they're actually plural. There's not just the one. So it just happens to be what somebody's performed one time. And I think one of them's the Bloody Award, and that was started off by the ad for BT 50s when what does the BT stand for? And they said, oh, bloody tough, bloody terrific, and one of our members tipped his, so it was bloody tipped. So that was the start of that award. But we've gone on this, but that actually is a perpetual award, it seems. They're always dinging up our truck. So we hand out a Bloody Award to anybody who's dinged one of the vehicles. This one's the Forking Award, and so that's this Forking Award's about somebody who is not just perhaps a fireman. And the last recipient is Dave Kohoot over there, and he's a DGO, so DGO firefighter, and that's why he got his. So so we try and hand out an award to somebody who's done something well worthwhile as well. We have media awards. We've got Media Max over there, and next to Media Max is our latest media award winner was Dave Zondervan, and he got his for a beautiful little video that he did of a camper stuck out in the Otways where it shouldn't have been.
Oh, very good. What does that do for morale in the brigade, Andrew?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I think most commanders that come along in to look after our patch, but a bit surprised when they come along to our awards nights, because generally it's fancy dress. There's a theme. There's no uniforms, and so we try to get over and done with the service awards pretty quickly and get on and try to have a good night. Yeah.
Now you had someone that was very special as part of your brigade, still is part of your brigade, who played a big role in CFA not that long ago. You want to tell us who that is?
We've got lots of special people in our brigade.
That is not what I was going to say. Well done, touche. But I guess one who
Recently retired.
Recently
Yes,
retired.
Yes, Natalie McDonald's,
Yes.
recently retired CEO. Yes, she and her partner Scott, they're great members of the brigade, and I mean, obviously, the fact now that Natalie hasn't got such a heavy role in terms of running the organisation, she's able to be a little bit more hands-on, and so they're great asset. Both are great assets to the brigade. Yeah.
So tell me, when Natalie was in the role as the CEO and as brigade captain, the local brigade captain, it's okay. She's retired now. You can tell me. Did you try it on a little?
I try to avoid speaking too much about CFA generally, but there was one time when I did respond to her about something, and I got a call from the ACFO pretty quickly about getting a lecture about following the chain of command.
Well, if you got it, why not use it? So, no, well done. As always, throughout the evening, our senior management team from CFA is online and ready to answer any question that you may have. I know there's already questions starting to get into the chat here this evening, so please feel free to jump on, ask any questions that you might have. But as always, perhaps tell us where you're watching from, whether it be here in Victoria, right across Australia, or even internationally. We are very interested to know where people log into and watch from as this forum seeks to go global. Hey, Brad. Chris.
Hello,
welcome.
thank you.
So, community volunteer program.
Yes.
What's that all about?
So the community volunteer program was just a spark that ignited between a few people that were standing on the beach, one from the CFA and one from the surf club, thinking, what do we do? How can we support each other if there is an incident? So that was presented at a meeting, and then a group was formed, and the community volunteers are anyone in the community, and as you can imagine, in a community that is wide-ranging skills of people. So that could be, we've got doctors, surgeons, you've got chefs, you've got vets, you've got carpenters, you've got, there's so many different types of people that, come together. And really what it's about is the CFA have a job to do if there's an emergency. So what we're there to do is help support the CFA. So if they need to get out, we're here to help. If anyone comes and asks questions, we can help with that. We can help with the management of, evacuation management, really anything that the CFA want to delegate to us, we're available to do that. And there's, as I said, lots and lots of different skills. Like if there's a fire, there's animals that come down. There might be some snakes. Who's going to look after the snakes?
Not me.
Yeah.
The Wye River Brigade does something very special every year, and that's part of their community fete. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, the fete is amazing. So we have 2 fetes a year. We're really lucky because we have a lot of tourists here in the summertime. So we have a summer fete and we have a Easter fete. And it is just an incredible group of people that come together and coordinate this fete, and it's just grown and grown with the different bays that have come. And we have everything that you can think of at the fete you could buy. You can buy, sausages. We have a competition between who sells the most sausages and donuts. There's clothes, there's bric-a-brac. So everyone comes together and works together and puts all of the stuff out for the fete, and then that afternoon it's all gone. It's like, what just happened?
Yeah, wow.
And we generally raise about 15 to 20,000 at each fete. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And what, as captain of the brigade and having that go on in the community, how valuable is that? For not only your brigade but also community connectivity.
That's the key, community connectivity for sure. I mean, we've obviously the fire, you know, had a big impact on the town, but historically there's been a really strong connection between the brigade and the community, and so, you know, we're well regarded and we're supported through fundraising. And there's obviously an opportunity for different groups within the community to come along and set up stalls to share information, but just having, it's kind of open door policy really. People can, you know, crawl through the place and have a really good look, and kids climb in trucks and all that sort of stuff. So it's great just to see this. We're not putting the barriers up, you know, just feeling that people can feel comfortable to approach us or come into the station.
Career progression too, because the kids come in and they set up their stalls and help, and then they move to the donuts, and then they move to the cafe to serve. Then they might move to the pub, and then they might come and become a volunteer. So it's a really good breeding ground for us.
Pub, then volunteer. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But, yeah.
Working at the pub.
No,
you know,
fair
just
enough,
their
fair
casual
enough.
jobs, yeah.
And what about, let's talk about briefly, I guess, how does that go in terms of, you know, that community connectivity? But what does that do? You know, we touched on that membership, you know, getting people that might moved into the area, you know, get a, you know, here, we're Wye River Fire Brigade, come on
Great
down.
introduction, really, isn't it? Because it's, you know, it's very low key. People can just feel welcome to walk in whenever that's on, and they can meet new people, have discussions, you know, hang out near the barbecue, talk, you know, chew the fat, so to speak, and you know, it's a very relaxed environment. A lot of people having a lot of fun.
Well, I'm almost too scared to ask, but what's the strangest thing that's been sold at the fete?
Oh, there's so many interesting things that we get.
The
Go to
challenge I
Crown.
always had with my children was that my wife would go through my daughter's cupboard and pull out stuff and sneak it down to the fete, and at the end of the day she'd come home and she'd bought back her own stuff.
Oh, that's very clever from her part, I got to say. Well, what a fantastic update to the history of the Fire Brigade and you know, connectivity to community. Let's see and hear a little bit more about the Wye River Fire Brigade.
Yeah, well, we've got a permanent population of maybe 90 to 100 people, and then there's maybe another couple of hundred people who then live here part-time, and then we can swell to, you know, almost 4,000 people over summer with all the holiday houses being full in the 2 caravan parks. So we've currently got about 25, 26 firefighters, but we've got that interesting aspect where we've got maybe it's a half and half thing, whereas a number of people, a lot of those people are based in Geelong or Melbourne, and so they're a bit seasonal. And so obviously in the time of the year when we've got fire risk is the greatest in terms of bushfires, then, you know, we've got lots of people on hand. It's through the quieter time of the year that sometimes, you know, we're getting to a point where numbers are maybe a bit thin sometimes because those people aren't about. And, you know, also just, we've all got our own lives. People want to take on holidays and escape the cold. So it's kind of getting to a point where it's becoming more challenging in the middle of the year. I mean, we're always actively recruiting. And once again, I said, well, I joined when we had an ageing brigade population, and we're probably in the same position now. And it's certainly harder for younger people and young families to move into an area where it's pretty expensive. There's lots of ways to get involved with CFA other than jumping in the back of a truck, and so that's a great way you can get people involved by joining our auxiliary and help with fundraising. We also have a community volunteer program which is set up to assist the brigade in the event of a big fire or event, where we have volunteers assisting with traffic control, disseminating information, assisting the elderly, the young, people with pets, etc. When the fire brigade, we're busy just trying to do what we do, and so we created the community volunteers as almost as a buffer between the brigade and the community. So we're really fortunate, and I guess the other thing that makes such a difference too, our community's been fairly engaged because the CFO takes a lot of time trying to make sure that we stay connected with the community. But also, it's very easy when you've had a fire, and we had, it's coming up to the 10th anniversary of our 10 years since we had that Christmas Day fires. And so, you know, there's a really strong bond through the CFA within the town as a result of that too.
Well, some fantastic information about the Brigade, and thanks for taking the time, Andrew, to film that with the team and give us more information about the Wye River Fire Brigade and what you do in the community for Victorian communities in this part of the world. A couple of big shout outs, I've got to say, in particular to Tom from Montrose. You know who you are, champ. So, Jen, 10 years on from the Wye River Fire. Your recollections, memories?
I wasn't here for the big event on the day. I came into town the day after. So I was scribe in one of the command vehicles during the period directly after the fire went through. And we were going into a period of another danger for Kennett, which was saved by the initial fire, but was under threat for the coming week up to New Year's Eve. So it was a very nervous time in the area. It was a ghost town, really. We blocked off the Great Ocean Road, and it was, yeah, locked in or locked out. You were either in the town or you were outside and couldn't get in. So, yeah, unless you're a convol.
Yeah, right. And what were your memories?
So I was here Christmas Day. I had an exchange student actually with me from France, and I said to him, "This is going to be the best day of your life. You're going to be having Christmas Day on the beach.
Yeah.
We're going to, be able to surf." But we did actually get a surf in the morning, and then I got called up as a convol to help evacuate the town, and he left with some friends and had a Christmas Day on the curbside in Apollo Bay.
Right.
And he did
Still-
come back
still
2
looks
years.
beautiful,
He did come back 2 years later to actually have a Christmas Day with me here.
excellent.
So
Oh,
that
that's
was
nice.
lovely.
That's very
So
nice.
yeah, I was here, and then we set up the surf club as the main centre.
Nice.
And yeah,
Roy, your memories?
Yeah, well, my memories was down here cleaning the trucks after being out the night before till, midnight or something, and thinking, no, that's never going to get out from up there. And next minute there's a lot of chatter on the radios, and we knew something had happened, and then some phone calls to say, look out, it's coming. So our evacuation siren didn't work, couldn't be triggered from Melbourne, so the guys from the PAVs were in town, and they came up and said, look, you'll have to just activate the siren manually, and it was all go after that.
Yeah, wow. Andrew, what about you?
It was Christmas Day is a magic day with family, isn't it? And I remember having a swim with my kids, often we do after getting a presents, and I waved to a guy 50 metres away who was just having the best time of his life, and then the evacuation siren went, and he ultimately lost his house. And so you just sort of think, you just in the blink, how things can just change so quickly. But what was phenomenal for me was the number of volunteers who'd signed up to be on a strike team for Christmas Day to say, okay, I'm prepared to sacrifice my special day with my family to support our community, which was amazing.
Oh, wow. And what were some of the lessons, I guess, the Brigade has gleaned from the fire event back in 2015?
Well, we'd planned for a long time about the fact that we were probably not going to get much support, and so we were being really self-contained in trying to being able to manage what happened. And unfortunately, because the fire been in the landscape for so long, we actually had a lot more support than what we had planned for. So in that respect, we were really spoilt. But I guess the thing that's been really the focus for us is about the importance of training, and we train weekly, and we recognise how important that is, not just in terms of that muscle memory about knowing the skills and what to do, but also just working together as a team. And I think that's probably one of our biggest takeouts, was the fact that even though sometimes it just seems like you're doing the same things over and over again, we really noticed when the event came that we just knew what to slip in to do. Yeah.
So 2015 Christmas Day event happened and came through and did quite a lot of devastation and damage to the town. 10 years on, what's planned?
We have an annual bushfire forum on Cup weekend, and interestingly, the 8 weeks, which was 8 weeks before the fire, we did some Phoenix modelling on a fire wiping out the town, and 8 weeks later there was a fire that wiped out the town. But we've got on December 19th, which is the anniversary of when the fire started with the lightning strike at Jamison Creek. We're having a bit of a town party just to try to celebrate,
Well, on that one, I'll just we won't let all the secrets out yet. Let's throw to the Wye River fire, and is it 10 years on, and then we'll come back and talk about what the Brigade is doing to celebrate a rebirth of the Wye River community.
The interesting situation with this was that the fire started on the 9th of December at Jamison Creek with a lightning strike. So there'd been lots of fire activity, there'd been lots of CFA comms within the town, so everyone that was in and around town knew that there was a fire on our doorstep that hadn't been contained and could potentially break outside of those containment lines. So in that context, we were all pretty forewarned that Christmas Day could be a significant day, and that was kind of a bit of a weird situation. We have carols at the pub on Christmas Eve, and I'd been out on the fire ground that day and evening, and I returned and went to the pub where everyone's having a fantastic time, and you didn't really want to dampen the feel or the vibe, but there was a sense of this could all just, you know, turn upside down tomorrow, and ultimately it did. So, but as I said, fortunately most people were prepared to evacuate, because there'd been lots of, in the days prior, there'd been meetings and visits from different CFA, door knocks and stuff to actually warn people about the potential risk. We do a bushfire forum every Cup weekend for the community, and that 6 weeks prior to the fire, we'd gone through Phoenix computer modelling of a fire coming through and wiping out the township. And so it was ironic then that 6 weeks later, the people that did the presentation arrived after the fire to say, "Oh my God, what do we do?" Because it almost created that situation. But once again, it's really challenging. You're trying to, we have these events where you ask people to come along and learn, and quite often you have the same people coming and preaching to converted. But everyone that came along to that scenario changed their fire plan on the basis of what they saw in terms of if and when they would leave. So that was certainly beneficial. I think that was one of the main messaging Roy, had with the press conferences after the fire when the media first came in, was that we felt so fortunate that there wasn't any loss of life, and it's physically, it's devastating just to see the loss of all the infrastructure, people's homes and memories and all that sort of stuff. But then, a lot of people were really impacted by just the forest was destroyed and the loss of habitat and wildlife. So it hits people on lots of different levels, which is really interesting to observe. Once again, we got lots of support in terms of that sort of recovery process, and I think that's where CFA Emergency Management Victoria has been really good in that, for each event that occurs, there's lessons. It's like, okay, next time we know how to do it better.
Well, some fantastic insights and stories from 2015 and what it must have been like for you and the local community when that fire came through. And we saw the fire scale map. Like it wasn't a small fire. It was quite large. Yeah.
Yeah, and it went for a long time. It was the fire was in the landscape for many weeks after Christmas Day. So, which was a challenge. And the other thing that was an interesting challenge too was that we're a holiday town, and the Brigade's plan is about trying to protect the key infrastructure that allows it to be a tourist location. So we're able to open up the caravan parks and part of the town within 10 days.
Oh wow.
Which was amazing, given there's still fire in the landscape, and that was confronting too for the local population, that people were coming here to have a good time, and we'd just been through something that was quite traumatic.
And people have lost their homes. And that sort of stuff. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but at the same time, we want people to support those businesses that
And it is about, we say recovery commences at response, because it's the things that you do during the response phase that helps a community recover. And it can be simple things, too. Like they don't need to be grandiose actions, but that helps the community rebuild and come back together after such a devastating effect like that, isn't it?
Yeah. We did put together a flyer that we did have, and we had some people at the cafe if anyone had any questions about the fire, so we could communicate that to the community when they did come down, because people were coming down thinking, what's happened. So we did have that little hub there of convols that was helped educate the community.
Well, tell us about Cup Weekend.
So we've done this for a number of years where it's just an opportunity to try to educate the community about the risks of fire and so forth. And so this year the focus will be very much on an analysis of the fire. And there was a lot of CSIRO people came in very quickly after the fire and did an amazing analysis of how the fire spread. And so there were a lot of learnings out of that. And so we're going to revisit that and help to educate people and keep them tuned in about the importance of being vigilant.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, well done. So we've got some things in front of us here. Tell us what we're looking at.
Well, this this first one here, it's called Where There's Smoke, There's Fire. There was a mentor from CFA who was involved in the weeks afterwards, and David Miller, his name is, and we struck up quite a nice sort of friendship. And I said to him, so when you're not a peer support person, what do you do? And he said, I'm a children's book author and illustrator. Oh, wow. And I said, hey, my kids have got this book about fire, it's fantastic. And I started to recite it word for word, and he said, that's my book. Oh. And all these, they're 3D images made of paper, and the photographs. So that was amazing connection I made through somebody. He's from Wye Brigade. But the other thing that...
I was going to say, you've got something very special along these lines too.
So my daughter, she was given a diary on the morning of Christmas, and so our plan was on a non-code red day that my family would evacuate to the Surf Life Saving Club. And so my daughter, she started diarising her experiences, and you can sort of see there, a 7-year-old's writing. Mostly she talked about the food she ate, really. So, but then in the days afterwards, so there's a whole bunch of photos here. But in the days after the fire, we encouraged my 11-year-old son to write down his recollection. And fortunately, somebody had the energy to put into a lovely publication, which has helped to sort of memorialise what was a incredibly significant event for the town. Wow. Yeah. And a lot of people have said to me they have it like as a coffee table book here, and that they speak to their kids and their grandkids, and they read the story, and it's a great way for them to chat to them about, okay, if there was a fire to happen and you're on holidays here, how would we manage that? And so I think having resources to be able to have conversations with children, either at home or through the schooling program, I think it's really, really important.
Very, very powerful. I can just imagine what that must have been like for your kids on that day, and to be able to have the foresight for them to write that down and then reflect on it and then to turn it into a book afterwards. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Behind the News did a great story. There were some big fires in South Australia that year, and so they did a great story that kids across the place spoke about their experiences. Yelling Up similarly had a massive fire in Western Australia not long after us, and we did a trip the following year, and we actually went through the township and met some kids, and we saw the publication that community put together in terms of being able to, recognise and memorialise the event.
What a fantastic idea.
It is.
Well done. Jen, the power of social media. Tell me all about it.
I'm still learning. It's a wild world out there, isn't it? But so we try to engage with the community, visitors, everybody in the area really with our social media. Let them know what the Brigade's up to, show them some of our training, sort of open the door, I suppose, a little bit so people can peep in and see what the world of Wye River CFA is about. what their local brigade's up to, how they can be involved, our fates, what's going on, whether we have a forum on or a training day. So yeah, obviously people see a lot of yoke getting around. They wonder what on earth the hive of activity is about, and so you don't want them to be alarmed, but you do want them to know that they've got a very active brigade and what we're up to. So yeah, it's a great way to communicate with the broader community and get messaging across. I do a local Facebook page or group that was up and running for about 2 years before the fire went through, and that was remarkable for being able to filter information back to people who've been locked out, as I mentioned earlier. When the road got closed, everyone's like, well, what's happened? What's the extent of the damage? They couldn't get enough information. Everyone was trying to get, information filtered out of town, like from town outer to where everyone had evacuated to, what homes had got hit, what hills were worse hit, what part of the town was saved. So that was a great resource to have at the time. And so we've sort of just tried to filter on from that and use that, availability of social media to inform the community and keep everyone in touch, really. So that then went on to
The fridge magnet.
the magnet. Yeah. So this was an idea I came up with because originally the brigade, I'm not sure whether it was the auxiliary or whether it was brigade members. We used to have an A4 cardboard handout that we used to have in houses down here, which had things like when you evacuate, turn off your gas bottles, close your windows.
Roy used to,
That's why you're the captain.
Roy used to refer to as the back of the dunny door evacuation sheet.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it was usually, well, it was at our place on the back of the toilet door. But we've come into a new era where it's not just beach shacks anymore. There's a lot of Airbnbs down here. A lot of them are very luxurious and they probably don't want a bit of cardboard stuck on the back of the toilet door.
Yeah.
So, and also with that, you have to keep it updated. Yeah. So when we change...
Well, I was just about to say,
Yeah.
and on the thing there, I might get you to hold
Yeah.
it up there, and we might try and get it's widening out a bit. The QR code.
Yeah.
So when someone scans the QR code,
This is what appears.
This is what appears.
Yep.
Talk us through it.
Yeah. So this is through a bit of powwow with Brigade. I was trying to work out how to link a QR code in, and someone came up with the idea of Linktree. I'd never heard of Linktree before. So John put me onto Linktree. This is basically what happens. You scan the QR code, this comes up. It's like a miniature website. Each of those are buttons. So if you tap on the first one, that'll go straight to the CFA site. It's got Southwest Fire District. So if someone's here from WA and they don't know what district they're in, they bang straight into it.
Yeah, wow.
And they can see the 4-day forecast for Wye River.
Yeah, nice.
So another one's a bit more local. We've got a preparation list there of things like a checklist pre-season, reminding people to update their emergency kit, update their insurance, their house insurance, prepare their property, check their fitting on their CFA tank. There's another one, and make sure their CFA tank is full. So we've got that firefighting resource on properties. And then another one for social a bit further down is we've got our fates and events. So anything that's on the calendar to keep the community involved.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's the plug.
Get
Well
down
done.
for the fates. One of
You
them
are
at least.
The marketing and media mogul. Excellent.
Yeah.
Doing the brigade proud.
Yep, so make sure you turn up to our events, basically. There's the calendar. No excuses.
But as Jen said, we've got people that know nothing about Wye River and they turn up here for a weekend or for a week. And so it's very easy to say, I don't know, I didn't know. And here's an opportunity, because it's on a fridge magnet in any holiday house, any rental, that they can just bang, hit all those resources in one
What
go.
an absolute awesome idea.
Yeah.
Now, we do have a long-time listener, first-time caller, Roger. Andrew is asking if he can and if he could, where would he be able to buy these books?
Come along to our fate. Or if you email wyrivercfa@outlook.com, we can arrange to send one out to you, Roger.
So we'll get the email address put into the chat there, and we'll obviously, I suggest you're going to get a flood of requests now, but
Well, we
we'll
might
be able to work it through. But
reprint.
yeah, look, I think it just goes to show the interest and fascination that there is, not only in CFA but across the broader community for what you've been able to do there. So a nice little segue, I guess, from fridge magnet, QR code, linking to the website, allowing locals to understand their local fire risks, what to do locally, and into the preparation sheet. But it's not all about ticks and flicks and sheets and that sort of stuff, is it? It's about actually making sure that on the ground we get prepared. Dave, welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
And you're going to talk to us about location of water resources and something that the Wye River Brigade do here locally.
This has been a little project that Wye River has been evolving for some time now. It started well before the Christmas Day fires 10 years ago, and it's come from a frustration of being able to find water in a town with no reticulated water. And a lot of houses have got CFA dedicated tanks that we were unable to access for numerous different reasons. And then over time, a lot of members have put a lot of time into coming up with some solutions or to try and make things a bit easier. And then one of our valued members now, Annie's managed to put something together and provide a really useful tool that gives us a map where we can see here's the map here where we can see.
Here's one we prepared earlier.
Yeah.
So talk us through.
This works on Google Maps, so it'll work on your phones. We can send a link for these maps to be added to your Google Maps. So we could send a link to an incoming strike team or an appliance, and they'll be able to access this from their phone. And on this map we can get, there's a fair bit of information we've ended up adding onto it now, but the main information we can get is where we can get water. So you can see on here we've got the red signals, which is telling us that there's no water there. So we may go to a property and see a CFA connection.
So let's go for a random little drive around the busy metropolis of Wye River. And if the desk can pick a location, where would you like to go to?
So if we go to that, Morley's at 44A, that one there. So if we get paged to a structure fire at that address, we can see that the water on that property is inaccessible for us. But we can see that close by that blue icon, there's a CFA dedicated water tank that we can rely on and have 10,000 litres of water there, which is nice and close. And then we can also, during the event, we might be getting, it generally takes us 25, 30 minutes to get the next appliance in town from Lorna or Apollo Bay. And we might send them to that yellow icon, which when it's yellow it means there's water there, but it's a bit difficult for whatever reason to access. So that one's difficult because it's a steep driveway. We recommend that they back up so they can get out quickly, but we still can get water there. So we can give that information to an incoming appliance and they can hook up to water there. And then as you saw there, if you click on that icon, we've got photos and other information on there that can help brigades or appliances. So you can see there's a photo of the tank. So in that photo you can't see the connection, but it shows you which tank will have the connection on it, and you'll be able to find it.
What a fantastic idea. And what sort of checks and balances does the brigade do to sort of make sure that the data's kept up to date?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of time that goes into it. Basically every property has been visited, mostly by Annie, that others have helped, and there's a checklist that Annie's put together that we go through, and then she turns it into and puts that information onto the map. And we try and, so if there's a new house built in town, we'll try and on a training night go and test that point, and if there's an issue with it, we try and talk to the owners.
So I can very much attest to that. So Natalie kept me well informed of her progress of building a home here in Wye River, and if I didn't hear it once, I heard it twice, I heard it a million times about the water tank requirements and what needed to be done here for the Fire Brigade in Wye River. And I think she was pretty scared of you, Hacky, to make sure that the CEO's place at the time passed muster of the Wye River Fire Brigade. And I can see why, with the information that you're collecting and how valuable that is for locals and incoming fire crews as well. A lot of symbology on the maps. I think you touched on a few of those. The green tanks.
So the green tanks are a CFA dedicated water tank on public ground usually. So they're not; those other tanks are on private. They're private tanks. They're our tanks, but they're on private land. The green ones are generally around 40,000 litres on public land. So they're more water, and generally the access is always good on those tanks.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's what they are. We've also got on that map, there's some other information, like if there's bunkers on a property. So if we do have another fire come through town, one of our priorities is going to be to check that people are okay and that they are in the bunkers, and we can send an appliance or a strike team this link and they can go around and check those bunkers.
Yeah, nice. So you've got a brochure there. Is that you give that to locals?
Yeah, we try and hand this out because we've found that there's been a lot of misinformation over the years, and a lot of residents just don't understand what we need as CFA to be able to access that water. So we were finding that there's a lot of water tanks around that we were just unable to use. So some of our members spent a lot of time putting this together. It's just an information booklet which gives you some information so that hopefully you can set up your water source or your water point for us that we can actually use.
Oh, well done,
Yeah.
well done. Well, speaking of getting ready, the Get Fire Ready initiative has been a huge success with volunteers right across the state opening their station doors and inviting community members in to not only meet their local fire brigade, but to listen and learn about the local risks affecting them and what they can do to prepare their properties. We aim for 250 fire brigades for this year's Get Fire Ready initiative and ended up with over 500 across the state. So a huge success from that perspective, leading to tens of thousands of local community Victorians coming in and getting that vital information. Over 50,000 home awareness packs were put together for community members to take away after speaking to their local fire brigade, again, so they can have the information at their fingertips to get ready for this fire season. What was quite a pleasant surprise was that as a consequence of opening our doors and connecting with community, was community again wanting to participate and give back to their local fire brigade. And over the month of October, whilst running the Get Fire Ready initiative, we've seen some 500 applications for membership come in to those brigades across the state that have opened their doors. So congratulations to all the brigades that participated in this year's Get Fire Ready initiative. Well done, a fantastic effort and a strategic response to what we are forecasting to be a challenging fire season this year. Let's watch a small video on recapping the Get Fire Ready initiative. Initiative and a fantastic outcome for not only our local brigades but also Victorian communities learning more about the fire risk in their local area. Well, I'm joined by a very special guest tonight. It's Dr. Helen Szoke, who, as some might remember, undertook our initial independent review into culture into CFA. Welcome, Helen, to the Volunteer Forum.
It's been amazing so far.
Well, thank you. So for anyone who doesn't know who you are and your background, just want to give us a quick introduction to
Sure.
you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I've done various roles in my working life, and a lot of those have been involved in looking at culture. So I was Victoria's Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commissioner. I had a short time as Australia's Race Discrimination Commissioner. So spend a lot of time really working in areas where it's about people working with other people. And I was very fortunate with my last full-time job to be the Chief Executive of Oxfam. So
wow.
that experience was not only in Australia, but it was also overseas. So I guess, Jason, my interest is in, what's the oil that greases the machine and makes it work at the best. And at the heart of every organisation, it's about people.
So when you first came into CFA and did the initial independent review into culture, what were some of your early insights back then?
Well, the CFA is an interesting organisation to come into because it's hard not to be starstruck, and we've seen a bit of that tonight. It's incredible effort on the part of many communities. But the organisation, the whole of the organisation, the volunteers, the professional staff, the operational people, had gone through a pretty significant period of churn. There had been some pretty bad things that had happened, and a lot of those things had happened at some local brigade levels. So people being treated very badly. There were very high profile cases of women who had very bad experiences with local brigades and local communities. So at the time when the CFA approached me to come in and do the review, it was also a period where there'd been a lot of churn. I think you'd only just recently started, and Natalie McDonald had recently started. So it was an organisation that was trying to clean up its act by sorting out the rules and the regulations. But with any organisation, it can't just be about rules and regulations. No, right. It has to be about how do we want to do business? How do we want to treat each other? And those early observations were very much that this was an organisation that was on a journey. It was also straight after the fire services reform, so there'd been lots of pressure on an organisation that was just trying to keep communities safe.
And I think from that we saw the initial report, 10 recommendations, and CFA put together an action plan associated with that. Now I remember one of our earlier conversations when Natalie and myself were trying to, I want to say convince you, there was no convincing in it, you were a willing participant. But I remember one of the conversations that we had, and it was, Jason, Natalie, I'm happy to come in and do this review, but I wanted some commitment that senior leadership was going to take it very seriously and take the outcomes of your work very seriously, and that we wouldn't just get a report and put it on the shelf and not worry about it, and there would need to be some sort of check-in points. So true to our word, we've now asked you back to do a midpoint check-in. We said it was going to be a 5-year journey. We're 2.5 years into that action plan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are going to start some audience participation. Very shortly, we're going to put some slides up on the screen, and there is a QR code. If you want to participate in this activity tonight, please get ready to scan that QR code. There is some short things that you need to do from a privacy and an ethics perspective. Just fill those bits in and hit agree if you agree to participate tonight. I do want to make it very clear to everyone that the information that you provide tonight is going straight to Helen and her review team. It's not coming to the CFA, it's coming to Helen and the review team. So again, you can be assured of privacy and anonymity as part of that. So tonight we're going to run through some of the outcomes of that, and we've just got that up. So firstly, we've got the 10 recommendations up from 2022. Do you want to, I guess, run through what they were?
In 2022, we basically said there were a number of things that the CFA as an organisation should do. If it was that, the end point is building this very positive culture, there certainly needed to be an apology. There's been some pretty bad things that have been done in the past, but there also needed to be some planning around how do you deal with diversity in your brigade? How do you encourage women to feel safe coming in? How do you build the positive sense of belonging. How do you sort out the complaints process so that people aren't dissatisfied or hurt further by the process than what they might be? So they were 10 recommendations that we gave back to the CFA after we talked, and when it was my report, Jason, but it very much came out of talking with communities, talking with staff, talking with ACVOs, DCOs, commanders. We spoke to a lot of people. Now, it's important to say that we're only halfway through the CFA implementing that plan. So coming in to look at it now, it's basically to say, where does the focus need to be to really build momentum so you can continue that, not just in 5 years, but 10 years? This, as we've heard tonight, perhaps if we go to the first recommendation, the CFA it's an organisation that builds, its communities develop, they change, they develop an enormous amount of local leadership. So the first thing that we want to say back to the CFA, and we really do want people's views on this, so please do scan the QR code, and we've got our team that'll be looking at your responses, but we want the CFA to continue on the plan of the recommendations from the first cultural review. But we want to take a particular focus on looking at how we do things. You know, what are the people management aspects? Where do we put the resources so that it's not just about rules and regulations, it's actually about how people treat each other and how we support people in treating each other in better ways. We know that if we go to the second slide, we know that there's a lot of work that's been done on professional development, and there's an awful lot of work that's done on operational development, and there's emerging leadership programs. But again, we're saying that at every leadership level within the CFA, whether it's the brigade teams, whether it's the districts, whether it's the regions, whether it's the executive, people need to be supported in having difficult conversations with each other, of pulling up inappropriate behaviour, of talking about different ways of doing things. And some people come with those skills, and we can see lots of, for example, local brigades, lots of executives. This is the second slide we're looking at now, where that is done innately. But a lot of people need help on that. And particularly if it's communities that are working together, they're trying to understand what they are required to do. They're trying to get information from the CFA headquarters and so on. So we think that's the second emphasis. And we think to do that, the local communities need to have probably even more access to communication, to having their views heard, to having feedback.
So for anyone out there right now who's scanned it, they've gone through, they've logged in, it's specifically in terms of the questions that, or the contributions that you want from people watching tonight.
Yep.
Is there any particular element that you're after?
Well, what we want to hear is how you read these recommendations, and if basically, do they resonate with you? Do they make sense? Is there something that we're missing? And this is particularly from your perspective, wherever you are in Victoria, and whether that's as a local brigade, whether it's a staff member that's watching, whatever the case may be. So don't hold back, you know, because we've got only a short amount of time left to do the best thing we can to support the important work that you're all doing in your communities.
So we'll get some more slides up so you can continue on through those emerging themes and recommendations and the like. So moving on.
Yeah, so just to recap, the first recommendation is a big chunky one, but basically it's about continue as you're going, but focus on the people side of things. The second one is about leadership and supporting leadership, and we think that needs to happen at all levels. It certainly has to happen with people who are seconded in, people who work in local communities, and people who work within the organisation of the CFA. The third area is going back to complaints resolution. And we think that the CFA has done a fair bit of work in sorting out the formal complaint process. No complaint process is perfect. No complaint process makes people feel happy. But we think that in terms of your if you like, your black letter law, you've got that about right. But we think a lot more emphasis has to be on prevention of issues before they get to a formal complaint, of issues management, of helping people work things out so they don't feel that they have to go to a region, or they don't have to go to their captain, or they don't have to go to head office to say, I've been treated in this way. To do that, you have to have people who can help you do that.
Yeah.
And so we would talk about it broadly as issues management and dispute resolution. So that's the third area where we think things need to change. So in summary, Jason, we reckon the action plan needs to be focused, and you really need to think about the way you do things as much as what you do, and then tell people about it. So this is the final thing. We've heard some great examples of communication at this meeting tonight. Communication is key. People need to know what the CFA collectively is doing about culture, about conflict, about issues management, and that's just as important as knowing all of that operational stuff, because you need people to be working together, and that means that you as the chief, that the chief executive, that the DCOs, the ACFOs, the Brigade, everyone needs to be, in everything they're doing, they need to be talking about how do we treat each other, how do we support each other, how do we build a much better place so everyone feels comfortable, as they seem to do here, and we want that to happen across the whole of the CFA's operations.
And then once we've done that and putting together a bit of that strategy, I know you're very big on then ensuring that regular reporting and transparency.
Yeah. People want to know. They may want to, they may not always hear, but I think there has to be a regular sort of reporting framework, and it feels like there's lots of mechanisms to do that. But I would like to think that in every opportunity where you have a meeting like this, part of what you're doing is saying this is what we're doing to build a positive, safe place for everyone to look after their communities.
Now, part of this review, it's not like the first one, which was a lot of talking to people, a lot of interviews, a lot of brigade meetings and the like. You quite rightfully asked CFA to prove it in terms of what we said we were going to set out and what we were going to do. So hundreds of documents. I'm sorry, we put it on to you.
That's all right.
But part of this tonight, and then we're going to have some town halls. This is also still about connecting to our people, but in a little bit of a different way. Yeah. To your point, understanding what resonates with what you're finding so far and some of those emerging themes.
Yeah, that's right. So we've done that. We've looked at the documents. We've looked at what you've said you've done. We've given you a scorecard on that, and you'll share that with all your people about progress. And then we really encourage people to join the town halls. There'll be information about when you can join online. Please do scan the QR code and give us some feedback tonight. We really want to make this work as best you can for this incredible organisation.
Well, Helen, I'm having some flashbacks. So when you talk about report cards and that sort of stuff, I wasn't a good boy at school sometimes. So I hope we get a good one, but I know it's going to be an honest one.
It will be.
And I know absolutely, because you've got the best interest of CFA and our members at heart, and making sure that we do the right thing by our people to not only make the organisation successful today, but successful into the future. And that means we need to have the next generation of CFA feel welcomed, respected, and delivering for what they need to do.
Absolutely. And it's a constant work in progress. Never
absolutely.
stops.
So thank you for coming
Thank
on tonight, Helen. As I said, the QR, you'll be able to go back, have a look at the slides and scan the QR codes. We are actively encouraging people to take part in the survey to inform Helen and her team, because we are very serious about continuing this cultural journey here in CFA. Well, Helen, talking about connectivity and community and good things, I recently was at the Rye Fire Brigade dinner last weekend, where I gave a citizen's commendation to a fantastic fellow by the name of John, who managed to save a disabled woman from burning in her bedroom. And let's take an opportunity to have a look at the presentation to John and why he was awarded for such an event. For tonight, John, I bestow upon you the CFA's Citizen Commendation. I would like to now read the warrant associated with this commendation. This recognition is for Mr. John Croft, who, as a regular community member, found himself in a very rare position of saving a life of a vulnerable person. John was enjoying fireworks in the early hours of the 1st of January 2024 in Tukaruk, where he realised the fireworks had hit a house in the street where he was situated, causing it to catch fire. Hearing cries for help, John smashed the bedroom window with a brick to pull up the occupant to safety, bravely risking his own life. The quick response and selfless action of John directly resulted in the positive outcome and saved the life of someone who was unlikely otherwise to have escaped the fire. John is awarded the CFA Citizens Commendation to mark his exemplary contributions and actions for that very day. John, I present to you the Country Fire Authority Citizen Commendation. Well, what a fantastic individual and an act of bravery that saved somebody's life. And it was an honour and a pleasure to be with the Rye Fire Brigade to hand that over to John, who was an extremely humble man and was very proud of his achievement. And who was even prouder was his wife and kids that were there to watch him be presented that award. So congratulations, John. Absolutely well deserved. Well, Helen, you're popular. Going through the chat here, commentary made, all done, great survey. So it's some good feedback there. So
good.
Keep those survey results coming in. It's fantastic to see them rolling in as well. Rohan, welcome to the panel, the most popular man in the CFA about this time of the evening when we do the volunteer forum. Now, normally we'd see a video, which gives me enough time to run off and get a drink or go to the toilet or what happens to be. But you're on the panel tonight because you've got some important things that you actually want to talk about.
Yeah, thanks, Chief, and thanks for the opportunity to come down to the panel. I've got to say it's more fun than doing the video recording, so do appreciate that. There are a few things. I know Jason spoke last time around the LMS and it's the gift that keeps giving. What I wanted to do was to give our members a bit of an update of where we're at with our learning management system. If people can remember back to 2017, we had a thing called Train. We moved to our LMS, which is the system we have now, and there were some teething problems moving to that. We did an upgrade in 2024 with the LMS. That upgrade wasn't as successful as what we'd hoped. And the way I explain our learning management system, we've customised it. We've got a lot of add-ons and extras to try and make it work for us.
You bought a Camry and tried to turn it into a Ferrari.
Yeah, I do have a bit of an analogy. We bought a Camry, tried to drive it like a Ferrari, and we've been to Autobahn and put a heap of spares on it to make it right, and it's still not right. Mm-hmm. It's still not working as well as we'd like. So what we've been doing over time, we're still doing it. We're making modifications, and we've got a couple of ones that are due to come out around December, and we'll introduce into courses. The classic one that, if you get one question wrong, you've got to do all 10 questions again. That fix will come into place. We'll start to build that into our courses in December or December, January. We'll focus on GFF first because we know that's a real bugbear on that course. So that's happening. At the same time, we know that we want to move forward on a more user-friendly system for our members and for our CLDs in the field and for our instructors. So we're doing some work at the moment to really try and understand what are our requirements, both for a learning management system and a student management system. And they're two slightly different things, but they're really important for our members' experience, but also our RTO requirements. So we'll see what's available for us and what our next steps are. Obviously, we've got a contract at the moment with the current provider, and like always, we make assessments along the way, and we may end up going through a process to identify, is there another product? Mm-hmm. The thing I want to probably get across is that won't be a quick fix. If we want to implement a LMS or even modify our LMS to a significant degree, we want to implement that in a very staged approach that will take some time. If we have to move data from one location to another location, we don't want to lose that data. So I do ask for a bit more patience as we continue to work on the current LMS, and obviously our future won't be an overnight fix, but we're focused on making it better.
And I think that's the message that you really want to send to people. That we know it's a challenge. It's probably it's a real challenge for our people in training. We know it's a bit of a challenge for our members as well. The message has been received loud and clear, and you're making active steps to bringing about a resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. And we encourage people to give us feedback. If they're finding things that aren't working, if a course rolls out, we test it on the LMS. But you know, things do go wrong. So if you see something on one of your courses and it's not right, you know, put it back through the system, back through the training mailbox, and we'll work to fix that.
I know I do.
I know you do. Regularly. Thanks, boss.
So moving to reporting tools.
So as a part of our LMS issue at the moment, we know it's really hard for our brigades, in particular our BMTs and brigade training coordinators, to understand where their members are up to. So we're producing a suite of reports using Power BI, which we've done a little bit of work with and we're getting some good feedback on. Those reports will look at, the first report will be around GFF status. So as a brigade, you will be able to go into that, to your individual members in your brigade, and understand where they're in progress, where they're competent, and what stage they're up to in the GFF journey, which I think will be a bit of a game changer. We're also producing a product which is around course, members' course progress. So at a brigade level, you'll be able to dial in any courses that are in the system for your brigade members and understand who has completed those courses. So it'll be an easier version than going through the LMS. It'll still use the LMS as the source of truth, but it'll be available both through the LMS and available on members online. So you won't necessarily go into the LMS to do it if you don't want to. What we're doing to roll that out is we're still doing some testing with it. We'll work with the L&D teams in the district first, and we want to make sure they are fully across how those products work. Once they're comfortable and they're working okay, we'll then roll them out to brigades, because we know as soon as we roll something out and advertise it, the first thing you'll do is pick up the phone to the district and say, hey, how does this work? And we want to make sure they have the answers as well as we do.
Now, I think that's going to be a really good thing, because as I said, the brigades will be able to see where their people are up to, what step they're on, and particularly be able to help people progress through that. I think that was one of the challenges that we had, that it was not really visible to brigade training coordinators and brigades, and they'll be able to have that information at their fingertips.
Yep, absolutely.
VR.
A little while ago, we announced that we rolled out VR kits. So every region has 2 virtual reality kits. We're building those kits for both skills maintenance, but skills acquisition and assessment. So we're building some courses that will use VR rather than going to our training campuses. Those VR kits, the 2 flame kits, are out in the field. What we're encouraging people to do, we've set up a members online page to tell you all about VR and how to access it, how to hire it, or how to loan it.
I was going to say,
we're not charging.
We bought it.
We're not charging.
No, we're not charging.
How to access it, some of the tricks and tips on how to use it, etc. Again, to give you the guidance on how to do that, you book them through your own district, so they will have the process. Your local district arrangements can book them, but you can get the guidance off members online. So that's a handy piece of kit that's now out and about, and it is being used. We're aware that brigades are starting to use it. We're also rolling out some facilitation induction training for those kits. So again, hop on members online, go into VR, and you'll find the calendar for those induction sessions as well.
So Rohan, I might, because I know there's not too many audience questions tonight, so as I guess expected, the chat has lit up, so I'm going to hit you with a couple of hard innings. So Terry O'Brien asks, Rohan, when will CFA support the majority of its volunteers who do not need RTO training with training that is short, applicable to the needs of volunteers, and provided at times and places that suit?
So thanks, Terry. We are trying to make training as accessible as possible. So we do understand in the training pathway, there are some formal courses that we will ask you to do, particularly our public safety skills training, our PUAs. We also offer enterprise courses. So that's our formal training when you're assessed. We are also rolling out awareness packages. So I think, Terry, they're the ones you're talking about, that short, sharp training. So tonight, I am happy to announce, so I'm really happy, Terry, you've asked the question. We've rolled out this week 2 awareness packages. So those packages, there's no assessments, there's self-checks through them, but you're not assessed against them. One for electric vehicles, and I know that's a real key focus for a lot of brigade members. So the EV awareness package is now online on the LMS, and the other one's CAFS awareness, so the compressed air foam system awareness training. Same thing, that's now on the LMS, and I sat down and did that one a couple of days ago, so had a good experience and worked through that. What we're trying to do is to get a combination of training out, and also offer it in a way that members can do training online, so some of the theory online, and then go and do the practical hands-on training.
So next question here from Maddie, H86, who's again a long-time listener, first-time caller. Is there a possibility of developing an easier to navigate training pathway map that allows members to plan courses towards an end goal? This would ideally allow members to see their skills gap. I think you might have been in the room with us when we were having our conversation earlier today.
Yeah, so we are working towards the pathway and making the pathway more accessible. We do know, again, through our other studies around LMSs, there is a way of setting up and tracking your own personal progress. We're not there yet. We're not at that stage. We are looking though to place catalogues on the on members online. So when you go into LMS at the moment, it's a little bit difficult to try and follow the pathway through. What we will be doing is putting our course catalogues on members online, so members who aren't quite familiar with the LMS can still refer to that, which links them to the pathway. So we should be able to address that one.
Yeah, it's certainly something we've had previous feedback, and we're absolutely getting on top of it. So hands-on training from Raleigh.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I spoke last time. I think we got a question from Rail Life TV around hands-on training, and we know practical training is really valuable to our members. It's probably the most preferred training that we can get. We've had some feedback around GFF that particularly in remote rural brigades that are isolated, even the 3-day GFF is a challenge in the delivery of that for some brigades. So we've been working with Pat and the team, Pat Millard and the team at Westmere Group, looking at a potential to try and set up an on-the-job style GFF. And that on-the-job style GFF would allow a member to progressively increase their activity on the fireground as they progress through a hands-on GFF.
Like an internship.
Like an internship or an apprenticeship is probably the way I think of it from a trade background. We're looking at that. We're doing that as a bit of a pilot. So we're working closely with Westmere Group and District 16 and the training team at West Region. We want to really try this because it comes with risk. It's not about dropping the standard. It's about finding a different way to get to the standard in a safe way. And it'll include, and I've got to take my hat off to Pat and the team, they've stepped up to this. This is about having supervision on the fireground for members working in lower risk activities.
Well, thanks, Rohan, and as expected, plenty more questions in on the chat. I know your team are working through answering those, so thank you to them. And I know you'll also go back and have a look. So if we haven't gotten to your question tonight, don't despair. We'll get the answers to you. So speaking of district initiatives, District 7 have come up with a quite novel idea of swap and go hoses. Let's have a look at the idea and what the District 7 team have been up to.
G'day everyone, Harry Williams here from Steve Bay District 7. The Hose Swap and Go system is an innovative trial that's been running here in the district to make hose management quicker and easier for brigades. Instead of waiting extended periods for hose repairs to come back, brigades can come to the district exchange point and get a like-for-like hose ready to go straight back onto their truck. The trial began with Phase 1 in December 2024 with 6 brigades. That expanded to Phase 2 in May 2025 with a further 9 brigades, and now Phase 3 in October, bringing the total to 24 brigades involved. That's just over half the district.
When we have had to send hoses away to be repaired, instead of having to wait weeks or months for them to come back, being able to exchange them straight away means we can get the trucks online really quickly. We're not having to wait.
Let's take a look at the exchange process. When a brigade has a damaged hose, the fault is marked and the hose is brought to the exchange point at District 7 headquarters.
Hey Darren, Brad.
The faulty hose is dropped off and a serviceable, tested hose is collected from the cache, ready to go straight back onto the appliance.
Here we go, Aiden. Thanks, Darren. Pleasure.
This removes the waiting period for repairs and keeps appliances fully equipped and ready to respond. Damaged hose is sent for repair, and once returned, it's added back into the district cache, ready for the next brigade to use. It's a simple system that keeps hose in circulation, saves time, and helps ensure every brigade has what they need to stay operational.
Exchanging the hose was a really quick and simple process.
To try and reduce the amount of impact it has on our volunteer brigades to be coming backwards and forwards from the district to get hoses repaired. If we had a large event and a lot of hose comes back in, we can quickly put brigades back online by giving them the hose they need, and it allows us a little bit of extra time for the brigades for repairing our hose to do that work that's required to get it back into service.
Previously, a brigade would have to bring the hose in, we would take it around the west for repair. If there were a number of hoses that required repair from a larger type job, it could be anywhere from one more trip back to pick that hose up, or a number of trips. So for those brigades that have got a bit of distance to travel, that's cut down. So that's one of the key benefits. And the return of some hose, that means there's less hose that requires testing for the brigade and less paperwork. So
we have large events from time to time where a lot of hose gets used. Then I think it's just the readiness is that we have it here, we're ready to go. We can service a brigade and have them on their way fairly quickly with all the hose they need to restow everything, to get everything operational.
The hose swap and go system is a simple idea that's making a real difference. It's quicker, easier and more efficient for our brigades. The trial is planned to run until May 2026 with the goal of implementing the system permanently across the district. We thank all those brigades who have been involved in the trial so far. Your feedback and involvement has been crucial.
Well, what a fantastic initiative by the District 7 crew, and a really good opportunity to save and respect the valuable time that our volunteers have by simply being able to swap and go. And I look forward to hearing more of the outcomes of the trial going on. Well, we have Carolyn here, a Wye River Life Member Extraordinaire. She's got a question for us.
Yes, I'm a retired farmer now, but I was very interested. I was here at the Wye River Christmas fire, and one of the things that I wondered if the training covers today, I'm not sure, but with the increase in solar panels on houses and batteries that run this, that take up, here the power went off because, the power comes from God knows where, Colac somewhere. And so it was dead, but actually some of the houses were still alive because they had their solar panels. I think what Annie did for the water tanks is absolutely fantastic, but maybe do they take into account all the solar panels and the solar panel batteries?
What a fantastic question, and one that I'm just going to palm off in terms of the training aspects to you, Rohan.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the question. Solar panels, obviously, and batteries are a real growing issue for us. So there is some work. So our low voltage fuse removal picks up on those hazards around, and we have a electrical awareness package as well. But there is more work to come out around our renewable energies and how we're managing that. Things like solars, batteries, hydrogen, big batteries, things like that. So we're probably in the early days. The EV rollout of the awareness package I just mentioned. So one of the things we struggle with is keeping up with the technology, and there's also some work occurring in CFA and headquarters around some of the systems and the way that we can isolate solar panels as well. So there's probably some things happening in the longer term around that as well.
And I think the other emerging risks for not only CFA but fire services right across the globe. We recently had one of our Deputy Chief Officers, Gary Cook, go to California where he toured the Palisades and Eaton fire, where we saw thousands of homes destroyed by that fire. And one of the fire services, in particular LA County Fire Service, described it, yes, it was a bushfire, yes, it was a large urban fire, but it was one of the largest hazardous materials response that they have had to do since the inception of their fire department because of the lithium-ion batteries. And they had to really work out and put in place a really a robust and quick way of collecting all those lithium-ion batteries and contaminated soils and the like, and being able to treat them and render the community safe again. So we're very interested in continuing the conversation with LA County to understand what they do, how did they do it, and how did they harness the recyclability of the minerals and the batteries that they were able to extract in terms of environmental outcomes as well. So a fantastic question and very relevant.
Anything now? I mean, my husband and I, we're about to get some batteries. We've had solar panels for a while. We're about to get some batteries. Is there any way I can turn off my solar panels if there's a fire? You turn your gas bottle away from your house. Is there anything you can do there?
So unfortunately not, no. So your PV setup will come with a PV isolation switch, which isolates your PV system from the mains power. But the wire from the power box to the solar panels, unless they're specifically disconnected from the panel themselves, will remain live. So it is one of the hazards that we teach our firefighters when they are doing structural firefighting, that even though you've done all your things, you've disconnected the fuses, you've shut the main power, you may have even pulled the service fuse, but there is still power coming into that power box from those solar panels until such time as you either cover the panels up or they are isolated at the source. So again, beautiful follow-up question. Thank you. Well, it's come to that time of night again. Helen, thank you very much for coming on. Lots of great feedback in the chat to our conversation earlier, and a lot of good feedback to the QR code. So hopefully you were getting a lot of surveys coming in. And again, if you are watching tonight, we do actively encourage you to get involved and participate, to give your views.
And it's open until the 6th of November.
6th of November, there you go. So come one, come all, share it with a friend. We are very keen to hear from you to assist CFA going on our cultural journey. Well, a big thanks to those on the panel this evening, to Andrew Hack, our captain. Thank you for coming. Oh, thank you for allowing us to come into your station tonight. Rohan, thank you. Dr. Helen Szoke, thank you. Chris Shaw, who is over there. Thanks, Chris, for coming on the panel this evening. To Jen Hearn, thank you very much for coming on and talking about social media and the impacts it has on your local community. And to David for his fantastic water tank idea. And I've got to tell you, there's been a lot of feedback in the chat. I suspect you're going to get a lot of emails and phone calls, Hacky, asking for information on the water tank initiative and the Google map. A lot of good feedback.
I think that's one of the fantastic things about this forum, is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I mean, Montrose with their training passport last time, it seemed like an amazing initiative. This is a great initiative, and so if we can, pull ideas and share resources, we're happy to do so.
Yeah. So just before I wrap up and thank the people behind the desks tonight, here in Wye River, you come one, come all. In fact, as we were going to air just not that long ago, 2 magpies decided to come in and say g'day. But here we are, another parrot coming in whilst the gang was setting up this evening. Made perch on top of the remote cameras, and it was quite a sight to see. And Andrew, you were saying that you get lots of visitors here, the wildlife into the Brigade.
We certainly do, yeah. And particularly when there's a fire, they all want to get in the station.
Well, yeah, cool. And to our ex-captain Roy, thank you for coming on and telling us about the history of the Wye River Fire Brigade. Well, that's it this evening. My big thanks to those behind the desk tonight, of the production team, whether it be Martin Anderson, Beth Ramshaw, my executive producer Bradley Thomas, and Alison Smirnoff, for pulling together what is a fantastic forum here today. And I wouldn't be a forum without me giving a big shout out to Eric Collier, who's in the heartland of where I come from in Broken Hill. And yes, Eric, it is half an hour behind the rest of the state. So I'm sure you'll be able to go back and watch the first half hour of the show. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, and have a great evening. Good night.